Okay, Megillah Esther. Getting ready for the biggest, holiest, most powerful, important, spiritual day of the year. And we said yesterday there are a few reasons for that, but one of them is that it's really the day when we reveal the reality of Hashem in this world, but not like Pesach. Pesach is when Hashem changes nature and Hashem shows that He controls everything beyond nature. Purim is when nothing changes. It's very, very cool. Nothing's changing on Purim, but I can just see through nature and I can reveal Hashem within nature. There's no crazy miracles going on. Hashem's name is not in the Megillah. I just see the yichud Hashem. We think that there's spirituality and there's physicality and there's separate things. And Purim is all about understanding that even the physicality is part of Hashem. We think there's light and light is part of Hashem, and dark is not part of Hashem. But no, we say that even darkness, even challenge, everything going on in our life is part of the story. There's one big story. So we said yesterday, was it yesterday? Said yesterday that we're all living a Megillah. Your life is a Megillah, and the Megillah is to Megaleh, is to reveal Hashem is guiding your life in everything we're experiencing. And our lesson we took away from yesterday was dignity. Dignity, which means that people can take away everything from you. The world can take everything away from you apart from your dignity. We learned that from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, who says in Auschwitz, they took away the two main things that kind of makes you human and gives you any sense of self and life, which is purpose and pleasure. If you have purpose, you feel you're worth something, you're doing something, you're achieving something. And if you have pleasure, at least you're enjoying your life. In Auschwitz, you don't have any purpose and you don't have any pleasure. But you can have dignity. You can still have a sense of self. You can deal with your suffering with a sense of dignity. So then I said yesterday, really there are three levels to how we deal with challenge and difficulty in our life. Really based on the fact that Esther's life was really bad. And it stayed bad. Why do we not sing Hallel on Purim? Why don't we sing Hallel? Hallel? It should be the greatest Hallel. So the Gemara says there are a few reasons. Firstly, things that happened in Chutz La'aretz. From when we came into the land of Israel, Hallel can only be said on miracles and great things that happened in the land of Israel. Pesach, we weren't in Israel yet. We say Hallel for Pesach, but we hadn't come in yet. But the other reason which is given is we weren't actually redeemed. Esther's still in the palace at the end. It's not like Esther gets out of the palace and we all go home and everything's great. We're still basically slaves to Achashverosh. So how can you sing Hallel in that place? But then the Gemara says that really the Megillah is Hallel. The Megillah is Hallel. And Rav Nassan says it's not a contradiction because it's a very, very high level to be able to sing Hallel whilst you're still in the painful situation. Most people, once you get out, now I've been redeemed and it all makes sense, then I can sing. And we cross the sea and I can sing. Imagine they'd started singing before they crossed the sea. Before they crossed the sea, they were screaming and crying and oh no, it's terrible. Imagine they started singing already. That would have been amazing. But on Purim, we're on a higher level where we're singing even amongst, and they say in Auschwitz, people would sing, people would daven mincha, they'd have minyanim, they'd sing ani ma'amin. So to be able to sing whilst you haven't been released and redeemed, that's a very, very, very high level of emunah. So he said the first level is you're a victim to your circumstances and you say this is bad. Higher level is positive attitude, which means, well, this is what I got, so I might as well do my best. These are the cards I've been dealt. No, I'll do my best with what I got. Higher level is emunah, which is Hashem dealt me these cards. This is what, for some reason, this is what I need. It's not, Esther wasn't, I'm randomly in the palace and okay, so now I'm in that palace, I might as well try and make the most of it. She didn't think that. And Mordechai really said to her, this is why you're in the palace. You're in the palace for a reason, and we said really yesterday that that's the whole neshama. The soul comes into the body, which is a palace that the body doesn't want to be in. The soul doesn't want to be in the body. And it's hiding its identity. The soul's identity is hidden. And it's a foreign culture. The whole physical world's a foreign culture. But we know that the souls come into the world for a reason. There's a purpose. I'm on a mission. I've got something to achieve there. So I don't know if Viktor Frankl said it, but you have a mission in Auschwitz, and he felt that he did. He uplifted people and he gave his last piece of bread to people. So even within Auschwitz, you can say, well, I'm here for a reason. I got a mission. What's my mission in Auschwitz? So, I forgot to bring it. When Moshe goes down to Egypt, it says when he's coming to save the Jewish people, he said, and Moshe, he rode on the donkey. He rode on the donkey. I had it prepared. I left it somewhere. Anyway, I kind of know it. So Rashi says there, what do you mean the donkey? Al-Hachamor. He rode on the donkey, as if there's a specific donkey. So Rashi brings a midrash that says it's the same donkey that Avram used to go to the Akedah. And it's the same donkey that Mashiach is going to be revealed on. It's a very old donkey. No, pardon? No, that was a she donkey. A different donkey. It was a she donkey, Bilam. This was the donkey. So there's different verbs used. Avram chavash. Avram conquered the donkey. He saddled the donkey. Then it says Moshe rode on the donkey. And then Rashi says Mashiach is going to be revealed on the donkey. So the deepest Sfarim teach what is the donkey. The word for donkey in Hebrew is chamor. Chumrius. Chumrius means physicality. The physical world. The chomer. The chomer is the material. So this is the progression of spiritual growth. First, we have something called saddling the donkey, which means control your physical desires. Control your body. Maybe a bit of priesthood. Hold back. Don't feed your body and ego everything it needs. Conquer the physical drive. Have some self-control. Moshe was on a higher level where he rode on the donkey. He used the physical world in order to be spiritual, in order to his mission. I'm going into Egypt, riding on the donkey. I'm using this physicality, the material world, to do my mission. And Rashi says, Mashiach is going to be Megillah on the donkey. He's going to be revealed through the physical world, the material world. We're going to actually just see that the whole physical world is just a hitgalut or Ein Sof. It's just a revelation of Hashem's infinite light, which I'm looking forward to. So this is what we can tap into on Purim. We want to try and tap into Purim, this understanding of seeing through the external world and stop saying, this is good, this is bad. Ad lo yada ben Abraham v'Baruch Mordechai. Shalom. Lovely that you could join us. And we really said yesterday, and we'll talk about it, I was going to give a whole class about wine today, but I started researching it last night and there's so much, I just couldn't get it together. But tomorrow maybe, if not the next day. What is wine? Wine, and how do we use it and what it's for? And sometimes it's really bad. Noach and the wine was bad, and Aaron's sons and the wine were bad. Anyway, that will come later this week. So we're doing the Megillah. So what we're trying to achieve on Purim is to tap into this state of mind where everything that happens, I don't say that's bad. So someone throws up on your couch, you've got to be able to look at that and say, that's not bad. Still, you're not invited back to my house ever, and you've got to pay to clean it, but it's not bad at all. And Purim's the perfect opportunity just physically to do this, because Purim's a balagan. Everything's going to go wrong. There's going to be a whole mess. But if you can retain your peace of mind and your das, your higher consciousness, even when everything else is going on, and maybe you've had a little bit to drink, so you've got to hold it all together, and it's like, I don't want to take responsibility now for my wife and my children and the meal and the guests. I'm in my Purim. Opposite. It's not your Purim. It's not about you. It's, can you be on the level where you've mevatel yourself? And I'm all about my wife and my children and my guests. It's not about me. Do I have my wine? Do I have what I need? If your whole Purim is all about you, you messed up Purim. Purim is all about Achdus, really. That would be a different class. Let's just talk about the Megillah today. We did say last time, I'll just put it out there because it's very important. Purim is the only festival that has a mitzvah ben Adam lechavero. Purim's the only festival that has a mitzvah of ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You should do something between you and others. There's Pesach has eating matzah, and Rosh Hashanah has blowing a shofar, and Sukkot has lulav and etrog. No festival has a mitzvah ben adam lechavero. And we got matanas leviyanim mishloach ma'os. It's an amazing thing. It's a very, very high level. We'll talk about that another day. There's so much to talk about before Purim. Anyway, we're going to learn from Bayam Dakecha about the Megillah itself. Reading the Megillah. V'nei Megillah kadayisha hi ika gelui panimius or shel Chag Purim. That time when you read, people seem to think that I'll listen to the Megillah and I'll bang a bit, Hammer's name, but then let's get on with the real stuff, which is the Suda and stuff like that. Not true, according to the Arizal and the other people who know that it's really the main part of Purim. The reading of the Megillah is the main part of creating a vessel to receive the spiritual light of what Purim has to offer, which is seeing beyond good and evil, which is seeing Hashem, revealing Hashem within the physical world. With a Kriyas Megillah mizgaleh or a yichud. Whilst we're reading the Megillah, this amazing spiritual light is pumping into the world. We said really at all festivals, Hashem's pumping down into creation a special spiritual light. So on Pesach, he's pumping down the light of Cherut, of freedom, and on Chanukah, he's pumping down the light of light. And so we've been through that through the whole year. This is the last festival of the year. In this holiday, he's pumping down the light of Yichud. It's all Hashem. It's all Hashem. Good, bad, Yetzirah, Yetzirah, it's all Hashem. V'nishpa b'tochenu. And that basically, and we've said this a few times, there's amazing things about general our spiritual avodah. But during the festivals, Hashem is pumping spiritual energy, spiritual light into the world, into our soul. Your soul itself is getting a huge boost of spiritual energy on the festivals. And every time you do a mitzvah, every mitzvah you do, the Tanya speaks about this a lot, every mitzvah you do is drawing down immense spiritual light into your soul. And what we're going to try and do as we're listening to the Megillah is try and feel our souls being filled. You obviously have to listen to the words as well, but a general thing is, my soul is loving this. My soul's tapping into the energy. And get it really into our hearts. Litaneg, and enjoy it. So very, very, this is my most important, most powerful thing when you're starting your spiritual work. Because everyone loves this idea of your soul being pumped up with spiritual light during mitzvahs. But how many people actually feel that? Some people, probably women, you do, I know you do. But, in general, you got Rav Morgenstern, you got a few people who are like kind of crazy devaters, and I'm kind of there, I'm just trying to I try to listen to every word. So this is very important. If you actually don't feel your neshama freaking out whilst you're doing a mitzvah in general, you don't feel this immense influx of divine energy, you should just try and feel it in a general way. If you can't do that, if you just don't feel any spiritual awakening when you're doing a mitzvah, this goes when you're lighting your Shabbos candles, when you're putting on your tefillin. Every time you do a mitzvah, there is an amazing spiritual light and a spiritual experience that is happening. So let's say I can't feel it because I'm worried about paying the rent and I've got lots going on and I didn't eat enough, and I'm a human being basically, so it's very hard for a human being with a tangible body and circumstances and issues to feel spirituality, actually feel spiritual upliftment. Yamim she'ashefa nichnas. Just have emunah. Just believe that it's coming. That in itself is very good. I just believe. I can't feel it, but I believe it's happening. The Pirzesner Rebbe says what you can do if you have more time, not during the reading in the Megillah, imagine what it would feel like if you could feel it. And then you start to feel it. That's an amazing idea. So when you're davening Shemona Esrei, for example, you're really face to face with Hashem. For some people, they don't feel that they're actually standing on the top of the ladder face to face with Hashem. So he says, just imagine that you could feel it. What would that feel like? And that kind of brings it up a little bit, and you start feeling it. Koach hadimyan. Gam im eino margish oto v'yachshov al ha'or v'yishtokek alav. And then think it, and then yearn for it. V'yismach b'kol rega rega. and you should be very, very, very happy that it's happening, even though you can't feel it. You should be happy it's happening. That's nice. And that's a beautiful level. And I think that's a level that everyone could do. I can't, because some people beat themselves up or they get upset with themselves. Shabbos comes in and I'm meant to feel so spiritually connected to Shabbos, but really I'm just exhausted from praying Shabbos all day. So then people get upset with themselves. So all you have to do at that point is say, I can't feel it, but I know it's happening and I'm happy with that. And that's really part of what we were speaking about yesterday, which is just surrendering to what is. I really should feel more connected. That's such a disempowering thing to say because you don't. And then when you say I should do, now you feel bad that you don't. It makes it even worse. So just say, it's happening. I'd like to, I want to, that's okay. Just be happy. Asamech b'chalko, basically. This is what I've got. I'm just happy that I'm a Jew and I can experience and I can do a mitzvah. I'm just happy that I get this opportunity to be hearing the Megillah, to be lighting my candles, go on. So, and it also says we want to try and, I don't know where you're going to be reading the Megillah, but the person who reads our Megillah is beautiful. It feels like you're there. Reads it slowly and amazing. Some people just we got to whiz through the Megillah and get stuff done. But that's not the whole Megillah. All of the light for the whole of Purim, they say, is coming down during the reading of the Megillah. And then all of the other mitzvahs we're doing are bringing that light into our consciousness. So it's a very, very special time, that reading of Megillah. Now that I've said that, by the way, if you go to a place where they're reading it very, very fast, don't get upset. Be like, okay, no. And then you would have got the light of the letting go of needing it to be how I said that it should be. This is what's so good about this avodah. You can never get it wrong. Either it's exactly how you want it to be, which will be perfect, or it's exactly how you don't want it to be, which will be perfect for your ability to surrender and say, well, this is how it is. So it's perfect. Everything's good. We said this before. In life, everything's good because it's either good or it's challenging. And if it's challenging, it's good because you can grow. Ki adarabba, a Megillah hi hashpa'a pnimit. The Megillah is drawing down the light. Ve'elu shah mitzvot, the other mitzvahs we're going to do during the day, inyanam lachachidei lanu et hashpa'a azot. We got to then bring that into ourselves. We're going to bring that light. The rest of the day, I'm now bringing that into my consciousness. Very sweet. We said this before we prepared for every Chag. There are two main ways to prepare to receive the spiritual energy that's available on a Chag. Learn and yearn. Learn and yearn with the moach and the lev. Which means the more you understand about the Chag, the more you can tap in and connect to it. But also the more you yearn for it, the more exciting it is. I can't wait. I just can't wait for Shabbos. When the second Shabbos comes out, I can't wait for Purim. And those two things go hand in hand, because the more you understand what's available on Purim and what Purim's all about, the more you yearn for it. I'm just very excited because I have an amazing opportunity to take all the issues I got in my life. And remember, this is what's so deep about Purim. Your issues might not clear up. You've still got that kid off the derech, and you're still not married, and you're still in a bad marriage, and you're still in whatever it is. B'ezrat Hashem, everyone should clear up all their problems, and everything should be perfect for everyone. But we're saying that on Purim, it's a day where you're saying, I'm not out of the palace. I'm still in this place, but I can still sing. I can still sing in this constricted place, because I understand that there's a bigger picture. There's a Megillah. There's a picture going on. And we said yesterday, we know the end of the story. We know the end of the story. The end of the story, Olam Haba, it's all good. They go back to Israel, they rebuild the temple, it's coming pretty soon. We're getting closer and closer. ולכן ביום הזה, שבו נפתחים השמיים, ואפשר לקנות אמונה בהירה, דהיינו הרגשה מוחלטת במציאות השם, צריך לנצל כל רגע שאפשר לעסוק בזה. So we got this very special time where we can tap into real emunah. Real emunah. And remember, emunah is when it doesn't make sense. That's what defines emunah. Emunah, this is why most emunah books, I don't like them. Because most emunah books and they couldn't pay the rent, and they were going to kicked out, and then at the last minute, the IRS sends them a check, and they paid, and the day was here. I like that. I'm going to write a whole emunah book where they didn't pay the rent, and they got kicked out, and they're now sleeping in the park with no food. And still they're like, okay, no, that's emunah.
Could you please write one? That would be awesome.
Yeah, of all the terrible things that happened to everyone.
It's
yeah.
such a good idea.
Okay, we'll do it. Please send in your stories of where your life was just awful. Right. But Yeah. But
You're like funny.
the person was still like, I'm okay with that. I actually told many years ago when I was doing my smicha, we had a Hanukkah party and everyone said, tell a hashgacha pratis story. So everyone was telling the hashgacha and this and I said, I rented a car about 3 months ago and they asked me if I wanted to mevatel hishtatfut. What's that called? Insurance. Get insurance. Pay 60 shekels and you got insurance. And then if anything wrong happens to the car, you only have to pay 800 shekels instead of 3,000 or a little bit, 80 shekels. And I said, I never crashed a car in my life. And I got the car. I was like, I don't need that. I'm wasting my 60 shekels. Turned around the corner, crushed the whole side of the car. Don't know if you've ever been in a car with a whole... You just feel like all my bones were breaking. And I just sat there and I was like, wow, who would have thought that that's the best thing that could happen to me right now? And they said, okay, and then? And I said, no, that was it. That was it. No, but didn't someone come at... No, I had to pay 3,000 shekels that I didn't have. So it's a very high level. So what we want to do is during the day of Purim, keep tapping in. Keep tapping in. Everything's from Hashem. So what I suggest, number one avodah for Purim, we're going to speak about smelling one day as well. Purim's all about smell. Hadassah and more draw and hamin ha'etzareh. It's all about smell. But to have a mantra, to have I call it a chazmil, chazarat milim. And the mantra, the positive affirmation, whatever you want to call it, that you have to keep tapping into is everything's from Hashem. Or Ein Od Milvado. Or it's all for the best. Or Gamzu l'tova. And just keep coming back to that. Keep coming back. We once, at my house, before I had children, we sang Ein Od Milvado, a niggun, Ein Od Milvado, for 3 hours. The same niggun for 3 hours just drinking wine. Me and some guys drinking wine. And sometimes it got faster, and sometimes it got louder, and we're dancing, sometimes it was very quiet. Just for 3 hours, same niggun. Ein Od Milvado. And very, very powerful.
What's the translation for it?
There is nothing besides Hashem. It's not like Hashem's created the world and kind of left it alone. Everything, the whole universe is an expression of Hashem. Is revealing Hashem's light. V'hinei ora Megillah shemegeleh ve'ein shum mitzias chutz miHashem yitbarach. The amazing light that reading the Megillah gives us, that there is no true reality apart from Hashem. There's nothing that's separate from Hashem. Me'ir et kol hayom hakadosh hazeh. That is the power that's taking us through the whole day. You're just going to swim through Purim with this consciousness, hopefully, which is, it's all Hashem. It's all. That's why I just covered it up. Yesh barei olam. There is a creator of the universe. You got to be walking around just kind of all the time, and that's how you approach people. That's how you approach life. Now we really want to be doing this every day of the year, but on Purim we have an extra special power and help from Shemayim to be able to tap into that. Not just when we're reading the Megillah, but also when we're walking around. As much as you can throughout the day, trying to tap back into. That's what you're tapping back into. Now it's a very busy day, so most people are like, when are the guests coming? What food are we eating? What am I doing? You've got to really, we've spoken about this a lot, there's something called das. And das means what's consciously in your mind. What do you consciously think about? Chokhmah is information, facts that you might have. Das is what you're actually currently dwelling on. What's my integrated awareness? So basically you want to be trying to fill your mind as much as you can with the awareness of Hashem. And this is the name Megillah. Megillah is Gimel Pa'amim Shem Havaya. The gematria of Megillah is Hashem's name, Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey, 3 times. I'm going to read it, but don't try and do it. Well, you could if you want. ומה טוב אם יהודי זוכה לראות בעיני רוחו את גימל שמות הוויה אלו ויצאה במחשבתו כאילו שם הוויה אחד מאיר בימינו ושם בשמאלו. If you could walk around, now maybe this is why you got to get, well, you don't have to get drunk, we'll speak about wine, But this is why you have to mind, if you can walk around with the consciousness of Hashem's name on your right, Hashem's name on your left, and Hashem's name in front of you, which is Gematria Megillah, you know what? That would be an amazing thing to dress up with. Have a hat with Hashem. Would you be allowed to do that? Anyway, don't try and do this because you'll ruin your day because you'll be like, but if you can, once during the day, you're sitting there, everything's a balagan, and one time you close your eyes and you breathe very deeply, and you imagine Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey, Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey, Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey, surrounding your head. That might be a nice little thing to do. And what's the penimius? The inner workings of that is Shabakayach Kriyas and Megillah, with the power of reading the Megillah, Zeichin Agish Begilui, we get to actually feel Ech B'chol Makom Sha'anu Poneh Hashem Nimtza Shem. So wherever we're looking, all the way, we look all around us, we're going to find Hashem there. Ulechein b'Megillah Nikras Megillat Esther. The Megillah is called Megillat Esther. Megaleh min Lashon Galui. You're revealing what is hidden. I had this amazing chap last year, and thank God I just remembered it again this morning, which is Hashem revealed on Purim? Is Hashem openly revealed on Purim? No, that's Pesach. Hashem is not revealed, Davka not revealed, and our job is to reveal Hashem. So this is my thing. Imagine someone dresses up as a gorilla. They got a whole gorilla thing, and they're jumping around, and they walk into their house, and their kids see them, and the kids freak out a bit. Now imagine, before you put on your gorilla head, I say, "Hey kids, it's me. It's Abba," and then I put on the gorilla head, and then I walk in, and the gorilla head, I'm the gorilla. My children, I'm not revealed as me. I'm still the gorilla, but they know that I'm inside. So they know that the gorilla is actually me. But I'm still not. It's not like I'm taking off my costume. So Hashem's not taking off his costume. Hashem's not revealing himself openly in the world during Purim. But we have to say, no, Abba, I know you're there. Abba, I know that nature is all you. And also the bad things that are happening in my life, it's all you. I know it is. I know you're in there. And that's our secret. And it's like my little secret. My kids, and then when we go out on the street, my kids know it's me. No one else knows it's me. But my kids are like, that's by Abba. My Abba. My Abba's the best. My Abba's the greatest. So that's what we got to be walking around without this consciousness of Hashem is hidden, and he's not megaleh. He's not revealed. We're revealing him within the hiddenness. V'lifamim, and then what often happens during our avodah, menasim et adam bazeh, b'kris Megillah atzma. Sometimes we get tested. Now that I've just given you this class, hopefully you're very excited for Purim. You're like, wow, this is very exciting. What an amazing opportunity. We get to really tap into a high spiritual level. That's really wonderful. So you really get excited about it. But then when the day comes along, you actually don't feel it so much. You actually find it the opposite. You're so busy on Purim, and everything's going wrong. One of my good friends just got married, and I told him, your first Purim is a shalom bayis nightmare. There's a possibility, in fact every Purim is. My wife and I got an amazing system, so for everything, Baruch Hashem. But in general, it could be a shalom bayis nightmare Purim. So, you realize you get to Purim, and you're not feeling so inspired, and you're not so feeling enlightened. And this is really a major teaching for all of your life. Either you just get lots of issues and problems coming up, and the kids are crying, everything is annoying, and it didn't go right, and your costume didn't come, and you're this and everything. Yashiv alibod, you should think in your heart, shezeh atzmo hu ha'or, ela shuhu mustar, that the challenge itself is the light. It's a very powerful idea. The challenge is the light. The obstacle in your path is the opportunity to climb higher. The word nisayon in Hebrew, which means a challenge, really, has two main words. The word lanus, which means to run away, but it also means to uplift, to go higher. So a nisayon, a test, is the opportunity to go higher. And we often find it when I run meditation retreats. I run meditation courses now. And people, when they start meditating, they suddenly get extra anxious or extra bored or extra. So all these things start coming up. So I say to them that no, that means you've arrived at the door. Because on the other side of your anxiety and your boredom, that's where your neshama is. So don't run away. It's the end of level bus. You just got to the end of the level, you're ready to take a step forward. Rabbi Nachman speaks about this a lot. That in our life, we often hit something hard and we feel that we've gone backwards. It's like, why am I being challenged with the same thing that I was challenged with? But what's wrong with me? Why have I never grown? He said, it's actually the opposite. This is your opportunity for tshuva, to take this and go forward.
And when you start meditating, are you not supposed to make any life changes? Because you might feel all this anxiety and you shouldn't make any big changes in your life when you start.
Not at the beginning, no. Until you've broken through. And then you break through, and then once you tap into a place of yeshuv hadas, peace of mind, menuchat nefesh, then decisions become a lot easier. Because you're more connected. So this is not that you messed it up, it's the opposite. Hashem says, right, you're now ready to see through this itself. This is where I am hidden. I'm hidden in the Arafel. There's a famous teaching that Moshe, when he was going up the mountain, he had all the Arafel and the fog and the mist and all of these things. Asher hu sham. The Hashem was there. So people think Hashem was behind that. But he says, no, I'm in the obstacle. I'm there. That's where I am. Go and find me in that obstacle. That's where you should start looking for me. And so v'yachshov, you should think to yourself, ani yodea she'eta astarot, kama astara balev, kama afra'ach yirtzonim, hakol Hashem yitbarach levado oseh. I know that all of the hiddenness and all of the covering up of my heart and all of the bothersome things that nothing's going right, and I drop the wine on the floor and it smashes, and then all of that. Hakol Hashem yitbarach levado oseh. Hashem is doing all of this. V'im kein hu imi v'yatzliach shav. Hashem's with me. He's like, come on, I'm with you. You could do this. It's like a kid when you're teaching a kid to walk, and he's just taking a few steps, and then you take a few steps back. So the kid's like, no, why are you creating distance? But you're creating the distance because you're coaxing. You say, hey, come. This is how you're going to learn to walk. Trust me, and I'll catch you if you fall. Ela shiur mitchabeh. He's hidden. V'zeh bidyuk ma she'Hashem yitbarach rotzeh lilmod ati. This is exactly what Hashem is trying to teach me. Shebachol matzav unimtza. He's always there in every matzav. You just got to find him. Gam im lo ro'im oto. Even if you can't see Hashem. So I don't see you, Hashem, but I know you're there. It's such a beautiful day of complete surrender. Yitchazek v'likanes levitul le'emunah. And then you strengthen yourself to enter into a place of bitul and emunah. Self-nullification. I don't need to have it my way. And emunah. This is how it's meant to be. This is fine. This is the best Purim. If Purim goes exactly how you want it to go, it won't be a very good one. Give you all a bracha that it's a complete mess. No, not so much. But you get the idea. Give you a bracha that goes mostly your way, but something big, bad, like something goes wrong. I give you a bracha that something goes wrong on Purim. And that you get to do the avodah. Because if nothing goes wrong on Purim, how are you going to do the avodah? Chaval. You'll never be able to do the avodah. The whole purpose of Purim is to reveal the truth of Hashem. Shiur hakol, Ein Od. It's all Hashem. והאור הזה מאיר לכל השנה. בעזרת השם מכוח האמת שמגלה במגילה, נצליח לזכור ולהרגיש בכל מה שעובר עלינו ובכל פעולה מעשית. And this is why we're finishing the year like this. Finishing the year before we get into Pesach and all the rest of it, so that we can uplift the whole of the year that we just went through. And then this can be our consciousness for the rest of our life, all the time. When tapping into this place. Everything, there's a plan. There's a plan, there's something going on, it's all guided. Everything is guided. Although, and this is very important, the Gemara teaches in the way that you want to go, Hashem kind of lets you go that way. So you have something called free will. And with your free will, you can kind of mess up Hashem's plan. It's a very big teaching. Like, when we say Hashem's controlling everything, so everything's really for the best and there to help you, that means He's controlling everything apart from your own attitude to life. You say, Hakol b'dei shemayim, chutz miyiras shemayim. Everything is in Hashem's hand apart from your attitude to life. And then your free will choices. So if you choose to do bad things, you can't say, well, that was the best. Gam zu l'tava. Everything that happens is for that. Not if you make bad free will decisions in general. But the main thing is your attitude to life. How much are you willing to see Hashem being in your life? So the sages teach we have this immense power called midah keneged midah. Midah keneged midah means you get treated the way you act. So if I'm a compassionate person, then Hashem will treat me with compassion. And if I'm not. So, and there are many, many teachings like this. Hashem tzilcha. Hashem is your shadow. Which means, who's in control of the shadow? I'm in control of the shadow. So Hashem responds to us. It's an amazing, powerful system. The Baal Shem Tov says in Pirkei Avot, Da ma lemala mimcha. You should know what is above you. If you know what is above you, you won't come to sin. And he says, you can read it differently. Da ma lemala mimcha. Know that what is above is from you. So Hashem responds to you. So we have to, the more we can ta'aseh ritzono kiritzonecha, the more we can make Hashem's will our will, which is surrender and be okay with what Hashem is sending us and not fight it, the more Hashem takes control. But He says, I'm not going to control your free will, so you can choose. You can get upset, you can ruin your attitude, but to the extent that you let me in, that's how much I'll be controlling your life. And the key is to know that really if we let Hashem do everything, to the extent that we let Hashem in, Hashem's taking control of everything. If we don't, kivyachol, so to speak, then Hashem, I gave the example the other day of a dentist. Imagine you've got a terrible, terrible toothache. And then someone comes up to you and says, I'm a dentist. I will help you. And they are. They happen to be the best dentist in the world. But you don't recognize them as a dentist. You say, I don't believe you're a dentist. Can they help you? Well, they can, but they can't, because you're not letting them help you. So to the extent that we let Hashem into our lives, then Hashem can be in our lives. Kotzker Rebbe asked his students, where is Hashem? And they said, Hashem is here. Hashem is really everywhere. And he said, no, Hashem is wherever you let Him in. If you let Hashem in, then He's there. And if you don't, then He's not. So we spoke yesterday about the balance of hishtadlut and emunah. You have to put in your effort. Do what's humanly normal to do. Be a normal human. But then let go. Complete letting go. And what we have to do is we start having to live with this reality. So we have to understand with all of our movement, all speech, everything we hear. I think we said yesterday that people say, I speak to Hashem when I'm praying to feel like I speak to Hashem, but Hashem never actually speaks back. And our sage says it's the opposite. Everything is Hashem speaking back. Everything we hear, everything we experience, everything that's going on all around us, all our problems, all our issues, everything, the whole universe is just Hashem. When it says Hashem created the universe through speech, it also says Hashem created the universe every second. So every second the universe is Hashem speaking to me right now. Hashem speaking. What am I meant to learn from this? How am I meant to grow from this? V'adam shekoneh u'magish et hayediyah azot, someone who acquires this and lives with this. V'chai al pi, and live. Now this is my reality. It's not just a nice idea. I'm living with this reality. This is really what Purim's trying to get us. At least one day a year when we're totally living with this reality, and hopefully then we can bring it into the rest of our lives. Yinatzel mikol amidas ra'ot. You then are saved from all negative character traits. What's the key to getting rid of all negative character traits? Not drinking alcohol ad deloyada. Key to getting rid of all negative character traits is emunah. Because if you had real emunah, then you wouldn't be jealous of other people. You wouldn't be envious. You wouldn't be angry. Angry is the opposite of emunah. In fact, the The perfect gauge of how much emunah you have is how much anger you have. It's literally a scale. The more emunah, the less anger. Less emunah, more anger. Because anger is, I've got my way, I've got my ego, this is how things should be, and it's not. So that's the opposite of emunah. Emunah is, it's not I had it my way, it's you had it your way, yes.
Shouldn't we be angry at injustice in the world?
Yes, you should. And yet, you shouldn't walk around with anger in your heart. You should see it, that you should be angry with it, and then you should do something about it, but let go of the anger. Because anger, you should stand up against injustice. The Orchot Tzedikim says that every midah can be used somehow in a good way. Like, is salt good for food? Depends how much you put in. So anger, you can put it in a tiny bit. In the right place, a little bit. But you can also stand up against injustice without walking around feeling angry. You can feel passionate to do something about it. But anger itself, the more emunah, the less anger. And the less, in fact, the more emunah, the less jealousy, doubt, fear, anxiety, hate, low self-esteem, laziness, anything. Emunah is the key to all. So you could work on each of your negative character traits, but that's just the branches. Or you could go to the root, which is emunah, and really yira. Yira not meaning fear, yira meaning God consciousness. Or, so if you had real emunah and yira, then you wouldn't speak lashon hara. Not because I really want to speak lashon hara, but I'm not going to. It's just I don't want to. Why would I want to? I just don't want to do that. So, on Purim, well, we'll talk about wine another day. But on Purim, what you want to do by the end, if you do drink a little bit in moderation, only wine, no other alcohol, by the end you just want to be blessing people, but not in a I love you so much, but just like naturally flowing from your neshama. It's like I just love you, or I'm blessing you, bless. That's what's going to be coming out by the end. It says Mishnichnas yayin yotze sod. When wine comes in, secrets come out. And it depends how deep a person you are. If you're a broken person, what secrets are going to come out when you get drunk? But if you're a whole person who inwardly loves people, the more you drink, the more that just comes out. It's just now flowing. My neshama is overflowing with love and brachas. That's where we're trying to get to. You won't have gaiva. If you have emunah, why would you have gaiva? It's all from Hashem. And you won't have atzfut. You won't have sadness and depression. Everything's actually, the world, the universe isn't against us. Hashem is working for us. You won't get upset and worried about the future. If we don't get in the way, I'd just like to add into here. If we don't get in the way, Hashem's taking care of everything. I think it's very important. If we don't get in the way, then Hashem can take care of things. Once we start getting our ego in the way and our problems in the way, then the Zohar says a crazy thing, that we can machtishin koicha shel mala, which means we can weaken Hashem's strength. And the Maharal says you can't weaken Hashem, but it's this idea that according to how we behave, Hashem, we weaken Hashem in this world, or we can strengthen. We can, as we say every morning, Tnu oz le'elokim, give strength to Hashem. And people say, how can you give strength to Hashem? Hashem's perfect. So obviously you can't weaken and strengthen Hashem's essence, but His ability, so to speak, to take care of things. We give Him power to do that, or we take away the power. It's up to us. Yeah. There's a lot more. I think we're out of time.
Can I ask a question about the wine?
Wine's going to be tomorrow.
I might not be here. It's a quick one.
Go on.
I don't drink any alcohol. And all these kinds of
Good.
stuff.
So you don't need to. You need to smell essential oils. Chayev inish lebesumei ad delo yada. Besumei is besamim. That doesn't mean weed, by the way. That means lavender oil, rose oil,